being late. If you can grab a seat, we're going to get started. I want to welcome all of our new interns who came out today to pick up all of their books. Congratulations, you made it. We're willing to listen to you on the phone. All of a sudden say, oh, listen. I had that happen to me. And welcome to everyone at home. Can y'all hear me okay? Ruth, give me a thumbs up. Hello, Ruth. Hi, good job, Ruth. Darla says, hey, Ruth.
I can hear you. I got you.
Beautiful. Ooh, I can hear them now. Okay. So, I want to welcome all of you, all the people who are brand new to our chapter, people who have not been able to come and visit with us for a long time because of the pandemic. We have so missed you, and we're so glad you're here tonight. We're going to start with, this works. I feel so high-tech now. We're going to start with the certifications from 2021. Has anyone gotten their initial certification and did not pick up their PIN yet?
Okay, so.
Come on up here. Come on up, Linda. Linda Rowe, congratulations. She gets this beautiful dragonfly, enamel dragonfly for certifying. Okay, and on to the next. She made it.
And before we do that, there's two people in the room that don't have their 2,500-hour pins. And it's.
Oh, oh my gosh. Yay. So Hugh and Diane have gotten their 2,500-hour pins. Congratulations.
That's why I'm scanning the room. I'm like,
She's, yes.
Okay.
Have to do the scanning.
Yes, so new certifications, but we do not have those pins yet.
Okay.
We're ordering them.
Yes.
And Denise and Mari and Cindy got their certifications. We're going to have another slide.
Yes, we do have more.
So, and me and Jennifer and Carson.
So, yeah, I don't see Carson here. Jennifer's here and Melissa's here, and they've already certified for 2022. And as you can see in the top corner, the pin is wealth, which is pretty awesome. The first time I saw it, I was like, is it a pork chop? It's true, I was kind of stunned. But the longer I look at it, the more I realize it is the state seashell. So, okay. So, and then we have exciting stuff going on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Peter's not here, I don't think.
No, Peter said he couldn't make it.
And 9,000 hours.
So Melissa got her 1,000 hours. Wow.
You can get 1,000 hours. Come see me, I'll tell you that.
So Melissa, for those of you who don't know, Melissa is our membership director. She is in charge of keeping track of all of your hours. She handles the volunteer management system known as VMS, and she will keep you straight.
That's right.
So yeah.
How did you feel?
So she will be helping you teach classes, so that way you learn all about VMS. And do you have anything else to add?
No, if you're an intern, we will do that the first day of class, so you have
Yes.
that to look forward to.
Yeah.
And no, just that we'll be getting the pins, and if there's no more interns that were certified in here, I don't see anybody.
You want me to go back and look at the list? I don't think so. I think, yeah.
Did I get Denise hers already?
Denise, have you gotten your pin already for certification?
She's not here. Oh, she's on
Yeah,
there?
she's online.
Yeah.
Ask her if she wants Naomi to bring it to her.
Yeah.
Hey, have you got your pen?
Did you ask something, Carolyn?
Yes, did you? The owl just talks. Did you get your certification pin, your initial certification pin, the beautiful enameled dragonfly yet?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Checked her off.
Awesome. Okay, we just wanted to make sure that you had gotten that. So everyone else who's on this list.
Carolyn, do you mean from this year?
No, just your initial certification.
Initial certification, yes, I did get that.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yes, that's awesome. So you're still in line to get the whelp whenever the whelps come in and you get up to those 40 hours. Okie dokie, darling. It won't be hard when you're the director of advanced training. Okay, so let's go on to, there we go. Okay, so in order to stay certified or recertify each year, you have to get 40 hours of volunteer time and 8 hours of advanced training. Even though you are an intern, for those of you who are interns, this is available for you to take. This is a wonderful class. The first part of it is via Zoom. The second part is a walk at Mercer. We have one of the instructors here. If you have more questions, you can ask the other Carolyn. The class is really well done. It's beautifully done. 45 native plants you learn, and how many invasives? 5 invasives. We have so many more than that. Okay, so if you'd like to join this class, there are links in our calendar on our website. Whenever we have something on the calendar, it'll tell you whether it's advanced training or volunteer hours. And if there are links involved, if you need to register or need to sign up, those links will be on our calendar. So always check your calendar. This class fills up very fast. It starts on Saturday. There's not a lot of spaces left, so sign up soon, okay? Jones Forest is having a spring break opportunity where you can go and help them entertain kids for spring break. This is a family opportunity. Families will go to the forest. You're not handling kids on your own. Their parents are there. So you can always go, okay? Which is always important. So if you would like to volunteer, you can get in touch with Caroline Cruz. Her email is at the bottom. And let her know that you're available to volunteer for that.
Carolyn,
Yes.
Alice said that you are, it's not sharing it on Zoom because we're showing something on the screen and that's it.
They're not seeing it on the screen.
Anyone else on the line?
Are y'all seeing the slides at all?
No.
No, they're not.
Okay,
Caroline,
yes.
how about putting your laptop over here and just pointing it to there so they can see it?
That would work. I'm hoping I can get a better view because
Right,
this,
right.
Carolyn, do you need me to help you change the screen share?
okay. And I'm gonna turn down the lights in this room so it's a little better.
I always troubleshoot with God anyways.
Good, please, thank you. Let me go ahead and.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that good? Oh. That's the one I was going to.
I'm trying to undo.
You did function F4. Oh, good. Did you extend? Yeah, I'm in and I'm using this. This is the issue.
Trying to get the photos to come up.
We might have to do. And they very well. In the interest of time. And now that it's started. very hard to see. Okay, this.
Take your microphone away from them. That's what's causing feedback.
We have that
They
one.
see it now.
There we go.
So see it now?
Okay.
Yay! Thank you so much, Kenia. We need you all the time. Okay, we can keep going? Yes. All right. All of this stuff has just been mind-blowing today. Okay. Well, this doesn't work, but that's okay. Oh, I didn't do screen share. Girl. Okay. And now I cannot go to the next screen. Here it is. Okay. Okay. Another opportunity for spring break is at Huntsville State Park. They're looking for people to help in the nature center and with the gator talk. And on the 12th, on the 13th, they have opportunities at the nature center, unless Jennifer's got them all.
He has Saturday the 12th lined up,
Okay.
and I think he's not gonna have anybody help on the 13th. I think that was a decision that was made by him and Scott,
Okay.
that there's not enough visitors to the park to warrant having a volunteer there on Sundays. So I think that's a new thing. But there are spots needed during the week for spring break.
For spring break on Monday, they're going to have fishing futures. So they usually bring their own volunteers, but he asked if we wouldn't mind if some of us are into fishing, go out and help teach kids how to fish. On the 15th, 16th, and 17th, he has bird watching, geocaching, and junior ranger. If you volunteer for any of those days and one of those is your passion, you get to pick your day. So if Cream wants to go out and lead a bunch of bird watchers, he can pick any of those days, and then whoever picks the next one has to pick whatever's left. On the 18th, which is a Friday, they're having s'mores around the campfire. This is an evening opportunity. And that's all at Huntsville State Park. Okay. Let me move this off. Close this. Yes, I hear you. Okay. Okay. So let me give you a little bit of explanation about this. March Mart is a fundraising event for Mercer. The only people who are allowed to count volunteer hours for this event are people who are teaching other people about native plants. Okay. But that being said, volunteering at Mercer is one of the most fun things that you can do. You may not get volunteer hours for it, but Mercer has a very robust volunteer appreciation program. They have picnics, they give out the golden trowel. One year they've given out too many golden trowels, they gave out golden towels. It's really a great opportunity. So don't let the fact that you may not get volunteer hours deter you, okay? It's still a great opportunity. So they're still looking for ticket writers, and you can read all the rest of the things that they need on Friday and Saturday. If you'd like to volunteer, the number is here. It's also on our calendar on the website. So don't worry if you don't get this right off the bat. Oh, this is really fun. Okay, Aquatic Wild Educator Workshop is going to be held at Jones Forest. Now, it's not often these come to our area, and it's a great opportunity. This is a K through 12 program that lets you go into schools or work with us or anyone else who's doing water conservation programming, and they teach you games and activities and things that you can use to teach people about. Yes.
So this falls on the same day as the first day of class for, well, this comes back because I'm a homeschooler and this is my passion.
Yes.
So I signed up for the one that didn't fall on an education on a class day, but will it come back?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
We have Glenn Buckley is the person responsible for Lake Creek Preserve, And I wasn't aware that he is actually an educator for this. So we will have, and so are you, Gerald? Gerald is also. So when we have enough people interested in taking the class, we can schedule something that's outside of our doesn't conflict so much with our other classes, our intern classes. But you're right, that does absolutely show up on the same day. It's a bummer. So it's a great opportunity. I think it's like $35 to take the class, and that's on our calendar also. Let's see, Adrian. So this is an open house at Friends of Texas Wildlife. You would go set up a table that's about Texas Master Naturalist, or you would go and volunteer to help them work with the kids and do projects or little crafts and things like that. If you're not familiar with Friends of Texas Wildlife, it's a wonderful organization. You get to hold baby possums and baby squirrels and baby skunks, and they're just, it's amazing. So this is on April the 9th, and it's a great opportunity. If you want to volunteer, I think the address is, I don't think I have it on there.
Yeah.
Very much underrange.
Awesome, good. So yes, please get involved. We have all the things you might need to set up a booth and talk about Heartwood.
Carolyn,
Yes, love.
I'm gonna be there representing,
Piney Woods.
Wildlife Society.
Mhm.
So if y'all get super desperate and you've got nobody and you want your stuff there, I could maybe have Piney Woods here and Heartwood here.
That is so
But,
awesome.
you know, it'd be
Claire.
better if there was
Yes.
somebody else.
Yes, and because it's, let's see, look at that. Because it's 4 hours, you know, if you can't do the whole 4 hours, you can pop in for an hour or so and Claire could take up the slot. And what's nice about volunteering when Claire is there is that if you've never manned a booth before, she will be able to show you how it's done. Okay, so don't let the fact that you've never boothed be an issue. Thanks so much, Claire.
So where do I get this stuff and, well, just somebody.
Get together with me.
With you, okay.
Okay, we'll make that happen. So there is a tree giveaway going on. Brenda, are you online?
No, her computer just crashed and she said, it made an odd noise and shut down.
It made an odd noise. I love hybrid, don't you? Okay, so there is a tree giveaway that's taking place at W.G. Jones State Forest. He has specific trees. He has black oak, Shumard oak, some of the others. I think rough leaf dogwood, maybe possum haw. You're allowed to pick 2 trees and you just drive through and pick those up. Now that's the fun part. The other fun part is getting all those organized so people can drive through and pick things up. So there's a sign up link on our calendar for you to go in and actually help organize the trees. So when people come through that drive-through line, they're able to just get their trees and go. And I think this coming Tuesday at the forest, they're going to be putting the trees in little bags with a little bit of dirt and
Yeah,
keeping
that's
them
what we did
moist.
last week too. We just got rain, we got cold / rained out this week.
Yes.
So you take them out of the bag, only labels, it's a conveyor belt kind of system.
Yes,
It takes it out of the bag.
So much easier with more
soil
people.
in,
it's
labels
bagging and
it,
tagging.
I see
bags
it.
it, and rebags it. So
Yeah.
we were able to, in about an hour, it gets to about, what's it, 250, and he wants to give away 2,000.
Okay, so there's still a lot to be done.
Yeah.
So Dana said that they have an assembly line that they set up to do this, where somebody takes the tree, somebody takes the bag, puts a little dirt in the bag, they stick the tree in, a little more dirt, some water, they label it, and off it goes. So yeah, and it's a fun way to meet people that are just hanging out in the forest. Lake Creek Preserve, we have a hike scheduled for March 26th from 9:30 to 11:30. We're still looking for some hike leaders for that opportunity. This is an important area for us. The plans are to eventually have a nature center, which would be the second one in Montgomery County, and we're looking forward to that. So if you would like to join the hike, please do so. If you'd like to lead the hike, go online to our calendar, look on March 26th, you'll find the link to sign up to actually be the hike leader. They also have, it asks for 4 people for the hike, because if there's enough people, you have a sweeper who comes behind to keep people from lollygagging, because lollygagging is unsightly in the forest. And so we have sweepers and we have the hike leader. So they don't actually need 4, but it's always great to have extra hands in case people get spread out and ask questions and they're kind of lollygagging. Yes.
That's something I could bring my kids to if I volunteer.
Yes.
Well, how old are they? 5 and 8, but we love Lake Creek.
Awesome.
Where are your food?
Well, yeah.
Yes. So someone asked if they could bring their kids if they were volunteering. So being able to lead the hike while you're managing your kids, it depends on what ages they are.
I probably wouldn't be able to lead, but I could definitely.
You could sweep. You're my kind of non-lollygagging person.
Approximately, where is that, just major intersection?
Okay, so if you see right here, we have 1488.
Is that 45?
And this is 2978.
When that's, it turns into Fish Creek.
It's New Magnolia.
Go a couple miles, you take the bridge over Lake Creek, and it's the first drive to the right, so you cross over the bridge.
If you get to,
If you head into the forest,
How many miles past 1488?
it's probably a couple miles and 1488 up there.
Okay, cool.
Just you can cross the creek, so you cross the bridge, hang a right on a gravel road, now that's the accuracy.
and you can put it into Google and just make sure it says Lake Creek Preserve.
Okay.
Because I had Lake Creek something, and it put me like in New Jersey. And I was like, so I almost cut and pasted that map on this.
Oh my gosh.
How exciting would that have been?
Carolyn, I've got some hands that have raised their questions.
In here.
Yeah.
Hey, great.
Hey. Yeah. The computer came back on. Hey, you guys, on getting to Lake Creek, it's really super simple. If you just kind of on 1488 and 2978, if you look for that Kroger's and cruise on down, and right before the first red light, you turn right onto the little gravel road. And if anybody wants to go out there and wants to meet me at that intersection and the Kroger's parking lot next week or the week after, I am happy to take you guys down there and show y'all around and stuff. It is an awesome place. You guys can also email me and I will give you directions as well. Or meet you out there.
This is Brenda. Brenda is Volunteer Service Projects Coordinator, and she is skiing in Colorado right now. So thank you very much, Brenda, for flashing in with us. I was sorry to hear your computer died. Ruth, did you have a question?
Yes, I'm signed up for to be a cashier at the Mercer thing. And that's supposed to start at 12. I don't know the area, but if I ask them if I can push that back a little bit, can I do both? Is that feasible?
That is kind of a.
To do both, you mean to do the Lake Creek Preserve?
Mm-hmm.
In the morning, and then the cashiering in the
So it's
afternoon.
a 45-minute drive. I used to live.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Good question, Ruth. Okay, so let's see if we have another one for you, Brenda. Yes, we do have another one. Volunteer service projects. Little picture,
Yes.
Brenda. Okay,
Great.
tell us
All
about
right.
it.
Yay, the Woodlands, March 26th. This was actually one of the very first volunteer activities that I ever did, besides the trees at Jones Forest. It is a Woodlands project. I don't actually have the address up here. I forgot to send that, didn't I? I'll have to look up, I'll have to get you all that information. My bad. That's a skiing brain going on there. Anyway, yeah, you come out. It's a wonderful little project. It's right there. I want to say it's off of Gosling Road, but don't quote me on that. I'll have to look it up really quickly. And you just pick up trash. You bring your kids, you bring your little, oh, I'm trying to get to my website. Can't get to it that way. And you pick up trash all day long. They'll have pizza out there. They'll usually have t-shirts. It's they'll have music. It's just a lot of fun and a great opportunity to do something like that. And let me dig up that address really quickly before I
Brenda,
forget.
I think it's actually at several different addresses within the Woodlands. I think each village
Yeah, but is it,
has.
they have the Green Day, it's on the
Green Day
Woodlands
Green-
website. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And there is a registration link, so that way they know if they have enough pickers and enough garbage bags and all that kind of stuff for people.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's on the
And it's not-
calendar.
I'm not having very good internet service up here right now. Okay.
We're ready for Denise now. Denise, are you still on?
I am. Now I'm here. I've been here. I was just silent.
That is all good, all good. Okay, so give us the scoop about advanced training coming up.
Okay, well, we have a lot of advanced training on the calendar, so I urge everyone to go to the calendar and look, because I did not put everything down here on these slides. I'm going to just start off with the Birding for Fun. It's an 8-week series. It's held via Zoom every Monday at 7 p.m. It started March the 7th, but don't worry, because you can join in for any presentation in the series. It is presented by Christine Rivers, who is an avid birder, attended University of Oklahoma, majoring in first in professional zoology with a primary interest in ornithology. If you registered for all 8 classes, the cost is $30. You get a savings, but of course, one of those classes is already passed. So if you didn't, don't worry, it's $5 per class if you're interested. And then also on Mondays, it seems like Mondays is a big birding day. Creekside Birding with JoJo Bradbury. She is a Bayou Land Conservancy Ambassador, Trail Maintenance Crew member, and Spring Creek Birdwalk leader. So she's a busy lady, apparently. You meet at 7:30 at the Creekside West Trailhead, and she said it usually concludes around 10, but I think that sometimes it goes a little farther than that, a little longer. You need to read more about the walks because there's important information on what to bring, and she also does require that a waiver be completed. So next slide, please. Okay, this is fun. March 12th from 11 to 12:15, Dr. James Tracy will be presenting a 1-hour webinar on the monarch migration through Texas, which sounds super fun to me. Fall migration funnels, roadkill, seasonal larva and milkweed host distribution, roadside protection, and habitat conservation. My gosh, what a title. So it sounds super fun, and I think I plan to do that one if I can. Next one. Oh, the collecting and processing seeds from native plants. I told y'all we had a really full calendar. We do. And I'm sorry I couldn't get everything on here, but we have a limited amount of time. So this sounds super fun. March 19th, 10 to 2, join the invertebrate seed collectors, Minette Marr, conservation biologist, and Andrew McNeil, Marshall biologist, they're going to share some best practices for collecting and processing native plant seeds that are not commercially available. This class is going to take place online via Zoom. The cost is $20, but because you are a Texas Master Naturalist, you'll receive a $4 discount. You have to use a certain code for that. So that's kind of neat. Here's another one from Friends of Texas Wildlife. This is the volunteer orientation. They had to cancel the last one. So this one is going to be on March 19th. It will be from 11 to 12:30. There's a $10 registration fee. And at the orientation, you can learn about what they do, the many areas of volunteer opportunities. You have to be 18 years of age, but they will allow you to bring your children if you are with them, ages 13 to 17. They just have to be accompanied by a parent. And this is for both the orientation and the volunteer time. They do ask that you RSVP by email if you do plan to come. Okay, this is the Monarch Butterfly Conservation Webinar Series, another Monarch Butterfly series that sounds super interesting. March the 22nd by Emily Snell-Rude at 1 o'clock Central Time. The title is Roadsides as Habitat for Monarchs, a Great Opportunity or a Salty Death Trap. Well, that sounds kind of bad, but I guess we'll find out. What a title, right? So Emily maintains that the roadsides contain potentially thousands of acres of monarch habitat with millions of stems of milkweed hosts, but they also present risks. So we should have some music here. Da 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 da. Emily's going to discuss her research over the past 5 years investigating the costs and benefits of roadside habitat. So registration is required, but the webinar is free. This is a nice one for a freebie. And of course, the plant party on March the 30th. And everybody says, okay, well, what's a plant party? Well, it is a plant ID for everyone. Major clumping, how to look smart with common characteristics, perennial versus annual forbs. I know that I've been asked that question by many. How do you tell the difference? How to know the difference. That's part of what she's going to talk about. So that ought to be interesting. Many more things. And so again, that's March the 30th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. And let me see if I have here some other information about that. Bear with me. I do have more information. You have to register via Zoom. You have to register to receive the Zoom link the day before. It is a free plant party. I went dark. Hold on. Okay. The plant party is a quarterly advanced plant training webinar series that's provided by Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, and Texas Parks and Wildlife. It's sponsored by the Renewable Resources Extension Act. So I think it sounds pretty cool. And last, the Bayou Land Conservancy Spring Creek Ambassador Training will be held from March 31st, on March 31st from 6:30 to 8:30. It's an orientation class, but it's mandatory in order to take the remaining 4 classes. So as an ambassador, you will learn about all the features of the local ecology, all of the work Bayou Land Conservancy does, and how you can get involved in the amazing work they do. All the classes are in-person classes, so look on your calendar or your bulletin for the link to register for this free orientation and the free series of classes. And then finally, for those of you who are new and you haven't heard me tell you already, if you have a problem finding training opportunities, you shouldn't, but if you do, every Tuesday, TMN Tuesday is 1 hour of AT credit. So that's a pretty easy one to do. And then again, look on the calendar. Here's your link. Click on your calendar and look for everything in orange or light orange, and it will tell you that is an advanced training program. Click on it and it will go into great detail, giving you everything you need, including your VMS code when you go in to log your hours. We have the weekly Heartwood Bulletin, and we have, and that comes out every Monday, right, Carolyn?
Yes.
And then we have VMS codes to log into your AT hours are located at the bottom of each advanced training listing, as I said, on the calendar. So that's about it. I do want to give an honorable mention to a few things that I'm not sure have made it onto the calendar yet. I talked to a gentleman in Big Bend part with the pines, the nipsot. And I talked to him for like 45 minutes today about this class that we're going to, it's going to be on the 12th actually. And I don't know, Carolyn Worsham, if it has gotten posted yet on the calendar, but that's going to be kind of an interesting thing on oak trees. If you're interested in the Big Bend area, I know that's not our area exactly, but a lot of us like to go there. And this is going to be from a botanist point of view. The presenter is a man by the name of Adam Black, who is supposed to be an authority on oak trees. And he is just a wealth of knowledge on how interesting it is that you can have the same species of oak tree, yet the leaves from those oak trees present differently. So there's a big study going on about how many varieties of one particular species of oak tree there may be. Anybody interested in oak trees, that sounds like a great one. And with that, I will finish.
Thanks so much, Denise. We have a question.
I'm
Yes.
just curious, where is this class?
Where's,
The training that they're talking
oh, the
about?
Spring Creek Ambassador Training? They usually host their orientation class at the Spring Creek Greenway Nature Center.
Okay.
So check our calendar. It'll give you more information about where the classes are being held. So the question was about the Spring Creek Ambassador Training and where that orientation is held. And I think it's usually held at Spring Creek Greenway Nature Center, but it's on the calendar.
Yeah, it will be. And it's not in my notes here, but it will be on the calendar. It should be. If not, let me know. I'll find out for you.
Thank you so much, Denise.
You're very welcome.
Oh, it is time for Sharon to introduce our speaker. Sharon is our head of programming. Just, no, just don't trip. There's plenty of stuff to trip over. It's like spaghetti down here.
All right, this evening we have Abbie Ince-Hendrickson. She is originally from Lubbock, Texas. She attended, for some reason, Texas A&M University, where she earned 2 bachelor's degrees, one in microbiology and one in wildlife and fisheries services. After graduating, Abbie worked as a wildlife technician and a wildlife biologist before pursuing a master's degree back at Texas Tech University. The majority of her work was done in the coastal estuary regions of the Gulf of Mexico, catching American alligators and analyzing their parasitic gut fauna. After receiving her master's in biology from Tech, Abbie relocated to the Conroe area, where she and her husband manage their 10 acres for plant and wildlife diversity. You can find Abbie working at Nature's Way Resources, where she is able to actively learn more about native plants and their habitat. Abbie continues to be passionate about all things herpetological, which she will share with us tonight. Welcome.
I'm mouseless. Going to stop sharing. Find my thing. Master's thesis or 2022 March? It's going to be master's thesis presentation. Ooh, too much spaghetti. Okay. That's not it. That's not it. Let's see. It's thinking. Oh, it's big.
Yeah, it is big. I'm not gonna make you guys sit through my entire thesis presentation, I promise.
I would object.
Let's see. Yes. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. We just want to see this. Okay, and then I want to do share screen again, right?
Start the slideshow before you share.
Oh, start the slideshow. And then do share screen. You want
I don't know
share
where it
screen?
went.
Yeah. I've never done it that way. I shared first. But we need to go into Zoom.
I think we got it. Go to.
Here we go. More.
Yep.
And share screen. We're getting it.
That one, Master Thesis.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, this works. Here we go. Get back.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to work.
Maybe.
Oh, now we start. There we go. Voila, mademoiselle. Easy.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
we are in business.
Okay, look, you might need this,
Okay,
just so everybody can. Got it?
yes.
Don't trip.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hi, I know a lot of you from either being at Nature's Way or some of my clients. So hi, it's great to see you. My name is Abby, and something that was not mentioned in my bio because it's quite new is that I've started my own business. And so I go around to people's houses and do hummingbird habitats and pollinator patches or firefly habitats, that type of thing. So my company is called Living Wild, and let's see. Okay, so I do lots of education classes. Of course, anything herp related is right up my alley. This was a friend. This was a 44-inch long cottonmouth that we caught to show our, of course, our class, and the future is female. I mean, there is no fear, no fear. The other pictures are just of me with some snakes. I taught a herp class. I do work with venomous snakes, and so that's part of my passion. And then this is just my garden at the homestead and the native garden at the homestead that we kind of have going around. It's all dormant. It's a garden of sticks right now. These are just a couple of homestead friends that we have on the homestead. So rat snake, our little buttermilk racer, our hawk friend, red shoulder, and our woodpecker friend. Those are on the lightning tree that got struck by lightning. The pileated woodpeckers are quite fun. And then Stella up there, that is our homestead bob kitty. So she got caught on the trail camera, last February. Just hangs out with us, so that's cool. That's kind of what we have going on. But today, of course, we are talking about alligators, my favorite. So in the 1800s, alligators were almost hunted to extinction. And the way they came back was through Rockefeller National Wildlife Refuge, where I did my master's. That was the last stronghold in Louisiana for these alligators. So this is their historical range right there. Their current range has been shrunk back to very far east Texas. You might get lucky and find an alligator or two up in Oklahoma, but that would be really lucky, right? And then they've kind of pushed, there's some in Arkansas, but they've kind of been pushed down through habitat loss, of course. So that's one of the big driving forces of losing alligators. But now, of course, they've been delisted off of the endangered species list in 1987. And now they are doing so well that we actually have to have a hunting season for them, and we have to cull them. So the place that I did my master's at, Rockefeller, has about 4 million alligators within their hectare of their 57,000 hectares or whatever they have. So that was, like I said, that was the last stronghold for alligators. And when they started breeding again, that was the place that you could still find alligators. So a lot of the alligators that are still around, especially in Texas, Louisiana, some parts of Mississippi, they're all really closely genetically related to those guys, to the last stronghold, okay? I want to talk about their biology because that was most of what I did my thesis on, was what they're eating, their parasites inside them, and how what they're eating in their life stage affects the parasites. I'm going to get into way deeper detail than that, but just to start, these guys will eat anything they can put in their mouths, okay? They will eat fish, mammals like nutria or beavers or rats or rabbits. Any bird they can catch, especially those wading birds, so herons. I found a green heron in the stomach of an alligator one time, and it was almost whole. So they do go after birds. Insects is quite a big part of their diet, which you wouldn't actually think of, but whenever they're babies, that's what they're primarily feeding on, is insects and little like gastropods, like snails, right? They do, the crustaceans is another big part, so the blue crabs that you see people go crabbing for, or that you'll see scuttling along in the swamps, those are a really big food source for the alligators, especially in Louisiana. And they do eat reptiles, they do eat each other. One of the things I brought, these are toe tags, and they're just little metal clamp tags that are found in between alligators' toes on their skin, right? These actually came up out of a 13-foot alligator's stomach. He ate those guys. He ate number 70 and 29. So we had to report that, but they do eat each other. And so you can see that is a bigger guy with a little guy in his mouth, and he's eating him. I have up top that they are ecosystem engineers. And what I mean by that is that they're a huge biomass that's constantly moving, right? So they go from this pond, pond A to pond B. And when they do that, they take all of their fats, they take all of their poos, they take everything with them from that nutrient pond to this pond nutrients, right? So they are moving throughout the ecosystem, and they create what's called landscape connectivity. So in essence, these ponds or these estuaries wouldn't be connected unless during a flood. These alligators make it so that parasites or disease or, I mean, you look at them, the plants that are on that night alone, when they move, they're carrying entire ecosystems with them, right? So that's what I wanted to say about that. They are an indicator species, so that just means that if they are in the ecosystem, it's a healthy ecosystem, meaning that everything is in place below them. That doesn't mean there's no contaminants, right? These guys are extremely resistant to heavy metal contamination and fertilizer contamination. But what I mean is these guys are more, well, they're extremely resistant to heavy metals, but, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought, guys. What was I talking about?
They're an indicator species.
They're an indicator species, that's right, okay. So everybody, thank you. Everybody has to be in place below them. So this is an apex predator, right? These guys are at the top of the food chain. Everything that trickles down below them has to be in place for them to be there. So that's why whenever we talk about predators, you really want predators in your ecosystem, because that means the ecosystem can support them. And that's really what we're looking for. Okay, a huge part of understanding alligator biology is understanding ontogeny. Ontogeny is basically where you shift from a baby, let's start with him, and he is living in these what's called a nursery pond. He's eating little tiny snails, little tiny fish, little dragonflies. That's what he's eating. So that's his ontogenetic niche, okay? We go to the next guy, he's a little bigger, so that's a hatchling. Anywhere 30 centimeters and below is a hatchling. 30 centimeters to 1 meter, 0.8 0.8 meter is gonna be our juveniles, so about like this, right? And they can take bigger fish, crayfish, like the mud bug that's there with him, crawdads, teeny tiny crabs, but as they mature, their diet shifts and they move from the nursery pond to a slightly bigger estuary or pond, right? They don't want to go to where the big guys are because we know what happens, right? This happens. So they don't want to go directly to the big guy's pond. They kind of stair step up. So that is called an ontogenetic niche shift. We shifted, okay? From the juvenile, we go to a subadult. These guys are starting to act like actual alligators, going after some big meaty prey like rabbits or birds, or these guys are the ones that could hurt if they bite, right? They range from 0.8 meters to 1.2 meters. So it's not a very big range. Anything above 1.2 meters is considered an adult. We don't really age alligators because they can be stunted by what they eat. So we say based on their size, they're a juvenile versus an adult versus a subadult. A subadult could be 7 years old and an adult could be 4 years old, depending on what they eat. Okay, does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, think of your questions. Okay, this guy down here, he's significant size-wise. You can tell he's got this lovely little double chin thing going on. That is pretty indicative of a large alligator. So if you just see the head of an alligator and he's got that double chin thing going on, he's a big guy, all right? In the big ponds that the big guys are in, they're in the big estuaries, they're fighting each other, they're pushing and shoving each other around for territory. That is not where little guys want to be. So each time they move, each time they shift their diet, that's an ontogenetic shift. Now, my thought was, when I was starting my master's was, every time they shift diets, so shouldn't their parasites shift? Right? They should. A little bit more about biology of reptiles in general, but alligators specifically, is temperature-dependent sex determination. It doesn't matter if they have an X or Y chromosome, doesn't matter. What matters is the temperature at which their eggs are incubated. So turtles, they do this a lot. Sea turtles do this. But let's focus on the alligator. So on our y-axis, we have the sex ratio, so percentage male. There's nobody male, they're all female, or everybody's male up there. And then here's temperature, right? So we have pretty low, still warm, pretty low temperature down here, and that's going to give us all females, right? Hot temperatures give us all males. And as there's a gradient through the nest because it's dug in the ground, right? So different layers hit different temperatures. So in one nest, you could have females, males towards the top, the males are towards the top, the females are down towards the bottom because they're colder. That's how the sex is determined in alligators and in turtles. I say this because I want us to think about how climate change could affect this, right? So if the world warms, let's say 2 degrees, like scientists are saying it's going to, if it warms 2 degrees, that changes our population dynamics quite a bit, right? That gives us a heck of a lot more males than there are females. So this, especially with sea turtles that are endangered, or even like the South American crocodiles that are endangered, this really makes a difference with climate change. So we could be, and sea turtles are the same way too. They're more bimodal, but same way. Climate change could really affect our populations of reptiles. It's just something to think about. This is a predator-prey curve. And the reason I have this here is because they affect each other. And this is a really great way to show that, right? So We start here with our predators, bobcats or alligators, let's say. And right up there is our prey. If we're taking alligators, we'll do blue crab, okay? So our predators start out here because there's quite a lot of prey. And especially with reptiles, their clutch size depends on how much they eat. So if a big mama alligator is just stuffing her face with rabbits and birds and all this great stuff, she's gonna have a lot of babies. But if the mom is really skinny and sickly and not eating well, she's gonna have a very small clutch, right? So this is called an exponential oscillatory pattern that most prey-predator relationships have. So as we have our prey is way up high, what is limiting the prey? What limits prey? Resources, yes, so food and resources, that's called carrying capacity. That's what the environment can handle, okay? Once your prey, our blue crabs or our bunny rabbits, get up to carrying capacity, they're gonna start self-limiting themselves because they'll start starving and dying, right? We introduce a predator, that's also limiting, very limiting, right? So we introduce a predator, it comes way down. The predator, especially with reptiles that have their clutch size dependent on how much they eat, they're gonna go way down because their prey is way down. They're hungry, right? Same oscillatory pattern. Think about rattlesnake roundups. When there is a ton of prey in the environment, there's gonna be a ton of snakes, right? You take away all the snakes, what does the prey do? Goes through the roof, right? So the prey goes through the roof. What happens to the rattlesnakes? Their clutch size is dependent on how much they eat. And you just cull a lot of rattlesnakes out. So they're gonna think there's plenty of food, I'm just gonna pump out babies. And so you're actually making the problem worse. Every time a snake is killed, it's making the problem worse because you took out that apex predator that's limiting everybody. Yeah, so same thing with alligators. Still push and pull, this top-down pressure that they exert on the ecosystem is important to keep in mind while we talk about this. So, how did I know what they were eating and how did I get the parasites? I had to lavage them, which is basically waterboarding for alligators. So, essentially, you take a hose, you get an alligator first, you gotta get an alligator. And you take a hose, you prop their mouth open, and you put a PVC pipe in it. You close their mouth around the PVC pipe, tape it so you don't die, and then you start slowly threading the tube, the hose down into their esophagus, right? And then you pump them full of water, their stomach gets full of water, you kind of Heimlich it to mix everything around and tilt them. So when you tilt them, everything comes back up out into the bucket that you have an undergrad to pick through, right? That was their job. There's some really great stuff about Heimlich and hose Heimlich methods. They're not lethal. They don't cause any damage to the stomach of the alligator or the esophagus. So if you had a crocodile species that's endangered and you want to see what it's eating, you can see what it's eating without killing it. Yay, right? Let's see. There's Rockefeller, very edge of Louisiana, and it's gorgeous. Again, you know, this is my formal hypothesis, but I thought that it'd be harder to Heimlich the big guys because they're big, right? It's hard to get your hands around them. I mean, what's the logics of flushing a 13-foot alligator, right? So that was my hypothesis. We caught them at night because it's easiest to catch them. That's when they're up and going at night. We had to take their measurements. We had to see if they were male or female. This is a alligator clitoris. No, yes, no, this is a penis. That's a penis. A clitoris is a teeny tiny little dot. Yes. So we had to sex them, and really the only way to sex them is to open up their cloaca and look. Yeah. Identifying marks, sometimes they're caught before from different biologists. They're caught. They have tail marks and scoots that are taken out. So we can tell who it is by which tail marks they have. Smallest alligator sampled, we didn't sample any hatchlings because there's not much in them at that point. They're very small. And that was our big guy, this guy. He was 13 feet. And that's my best friend's hand. They're so huge and they're such dinosaurs. Okay, so this is just detailing the gastric methodology. Open it very carefully. Tube, tape, looking down, right down his gullet. And then that's me pouring water down into his stomach there. And so that guy is holding his stomach and he holds it and he squishes it to Heimlich it. So all the contents get mixed around, it comes up easy. This is how we did the 13-foot alligator. That's a huge PVC pipe there. It's about like this. And when I have a video, when he bites down, he bends it. So he's extremely strong. But what we had to do is make a seesaw for him. So we strapped him to a board and then we raised him up on bricks and put him up on the bricks and we could tilt him, right? That's how we did it. Very carefully, of course.
Abbie,
Yes.
was the alligator anesthetized at all?
No.
Oh.
No. That's a great question. Yeah. So one of the reasons we don't anesthetize them is they can be quite large and we would have to do each animal's body weight calculation to give them the correct dosage. And I did not want to do math, or I didn't want to accidentally overdose one, right? Because of one calculation, then I would be like, ooh. So where's my movie?
And that's what you have undergrads for.
That's right. Put them in danger. Okay, so this is the video of me doing the big alligator. We have a guy holding top jaw ropes and bottom jaw ropes. So one guy's holding up, pulling up, and one guy's pulling down so that the mouth will open. So alligators, brought this for a reason. Their shut force to shut their mouths is really strong. It's about 800 PSI. So it's really, really strong. To open their mouths is really weak. The muscles that hold their mouths closed are extremely weak. So you can do it with your hands. Even on this guy, you can see how we tried first to open it with our hands, but we thought it was too dangerous. So we got top jaw ropes and did it with our jaw ropes, and that worked well. But you can see how it's done. Right when the video starts, he clamps down on the PVC. Oh, and is this gonna screen share?
To read your vows.
Those are not mine. Carolyn, if I do the alligator video, when am I gonna have to stop it and share it?
Yes.
Okay.
We should keep screen sharing throughout the screen changes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Can my people online see it? Yes?
We didn't see anything.
No, we can't see it.
Okay. I want to new share. Movie. Okay, how about now? Can you guys see it now?
Oh, yeah, now I can see it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, here we go.
Whoa. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's hitting the rope and I can't
Push it.
push it in because it's snagged on the rope.
No, keep it.
He got in trouble because he lifted the rope. You're not supposed to lift the rope.
Keep it. Be patient.
So Ryan, did you see the sets again here or before? Here we go. So it's in, and then I duct tape it, cut it there, because there are some curse words, but we'll cut it there. Okay. So that was our movement. Now, necropsy. We did end up having to kill them. That being said, the place that I worked at, the Rockefeller, they cull 22,000 alligators a year, 22,000. So I took 109. Just 109, right? I used it for science, and then they got the carcasses after I used them and did more stuff with them. So these animals did not go to waste. Andres, my Bolivian friend who is with us, who got in trouble, that's him. That's him. Oh, I'm not on. Sorry, guys. Oh, jeez. Okay. That's Andres. Yeah. He would take the meat and eat it. So weird. But that's that. So in order to see what we needed to, so when we flushed the animal, we thought, is there 100% that we got out of the stomach? Is there 50% that we got out of the stomach? So in order to check our efficiency, we had to necropsy them. So we took our stomachs, we cut out the stomach, tied it off, and again, my undergrads picked through that. And here they are doing such. So you can see, yeah, the smell was awful. It was bad. It was really bad. We got kicked out of the building, of the biology building, and had to go on the roof to finish the dissections. It was bad. But you can see, so this is an actual stomach that has just been cut open, right there. And there's chicken vertebrae, there is fishing line, there's a bobber, there's a weight hook, a lead weight hook. So this is all the stuff that they're consuming whenever they eat a crab line, or they eat a crab trap. In some cases, this was so bad that it prevented us from getting any of their ingesta out, right? So that was a significant bias for us, was this jumble of things. Math. And this is just showing the number that we caught and that's how many we killed, so 97, excuse me. But this is their flush efficiency. So my hypothesis was accepted, and the big guys are much harder to flush than the little guys. So little guys we got almost 60% of their stomach contents out. That's pretty good. The little guys, or the big guys, excuse me, got 25%. Commonly, we would get 1 to 2% out of the big guys. That's average. My outliers, they flushed extremely well, and there was no ingesta. There was no fishing line, so that's why they flushed so well. Oh yes, so something important, the difference in prey size. The little alligators, one reason they're so easy to flush is because they're eating little insects and gastropods that come up the tube really easily. The big guys are eating like turtles, and that's not gonna come up a tube, right? So their prey selection biased what you can get out of a flush. Just something to remember. These are another really good picture of the things that we find. You can imagine that was a 1.76 flush efficiency, pretty bad. We got 1%, almost 2% out. But think about the heavy metal contamination in these guys, the lead weights. Yes, ma'am.
The flush efficiency, was it better getting the parasites out than those big food items?
Yes and no. So the parasites were embedded in the food items.
Okay.
Yep, yep, yeah. They would kind of come out with the first like flush because they would float almost, or they're pretty light, so you can get them out easy. But yeah, they were kind of embedded in the food items. Okay, so the parasites. I brought some with me if you want to look at them. They are just little roundworms and they look just like that. And what we found, long story short, was this is how I decided who was who. So if they had genitals that looked like this, they were species A. They had genitals that looked like this, is species B, right? So you have to look at them under a microscope. But we basically found that as the alligator increases in size, so does their parasite diversity. So the big guys, they have all the parasites that you can imagine. The little guys, maybe 1 or 2 species, right? This is just a little table showing you that the juveniles were missing 1, 2, 3 species, and the adults were missing 1. Yeah. So this research is really fun, and I loved every minute of it. We didn't have anybody die or get bit. It was really good. But we learned a lot about what parasites can tell us about the age of the animal, or I'm sorry, the size maturity of the animal. So just by looking at a snapshot of a parasite, of the diversity of parasites, I can say that's a little alligator or that's a big alligator. So that's kind of what we did. It would have been better if I was a nematologist and could just look at these and be like, it's this one, it's this one, it's this one. But that would have been really helpful. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Did your friend eat alligators after pulling this worm out?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Cam.
That was actually part of one of my questions. So, what would you say on their digestive parasites versus their actual meat?
Okay, so the only parasites that I looked at were in their gastrointestinal. They do have like encysted parasites inside their flesh, which is really common with like carnivores, but we didn't look at that. We did look at a liver and it was riddled with parasites. Typically, parasites don't exist in the muscle tissue, and when you eat alligator, you're eating a tail piece. And so that's not typically where you'd find parasites. What you would find in the tail is heavy metals. So they put it in a place that they don't really need it, which is their tail. So try and eat farmed alligator, not wild, because you don't know where he's been. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Is the parasitic diversity a reflection of the hypoxic zones in the areas that you guys are sampling, or is it just an indicator species of the marsh type?
I would say it's closer to an indicator of the species within the marsh. Yes, because we sampled alligators from across the marsh and we're finding the same species of parasites within them. So it was not just one localized, it was over 57,000 hectares of sampling, right? Yeah.
How did you capture them?
With a noose or by hand. So the little guys you can just grab right behind the neck. And then the big guys, you get a noose and you make the baby sound. So if you make the sound a baby makes, right? Yeah, so if you make the sound a baby makes, they all like, woo, who did that? And they come at you because they think whatever's eating that baby, I can probably eat. That's why they come over. So you make the baby sound and they come over and you just slip the noose right over their head, and they're like dogs. They're like dogs.
Make the sound again.
Thank you.
15-foot noose. What did you do next? Take it to the shore?
The guys caught that one in a canoe. And that was a really sketchy capture. We got him to the bank, and he kind of swam alongside the canoe, like, we know where we're going. And we got him to the bank, and what you do, you let him get tired. So they're ectotherms, right? They don't just make their own energy and their own heat. So if you can tire them out, it's a lot easier to work with. So you just let them fight, and just like a toddler, right? Just let them do their thing. And once they finish their tantrum, they're okay, and you can jump on their back, tape their mouth, and put them in the back of my new car. I know. He was not expecting that. Okay, did anybody on?
I have a question. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes.
Based on your sampling data, what percentage of alligators do you think have a stomach content like that?
A stomach content with parasites in it?
No, all the metals, all the nettings, and anything but food.
Anything but food, I would say easily 80%. Yeah, 80% that have non-food items in their stomachs.
And what percent has a huge, horribly large amount of that?
I really found the big bundles of fishing twine and stuff only in the big guys. So 0.8 and above, or 1.8 meters and above, those were the guys that had the tangling in it.
And most all of them had a large mass.
I don't want to say all of them, because there was one that fleshed really well and you didn't have a lot in them. Yeah, but most of them, if they had a low flesh efficiency, they had a big ball of twine. Yeah, pick up your fishing line. Yes.
I have a two-part question.
Okay.
Kind of correlated to that one.
Okay.
So what is their effectiveness of their digestive system? Like, how easily are they able to pass all of that stuff, like turtle shells and twine and stuff like that? And does it ever like actually affect how effective their digestive system is?
Yes, yes. Short answer is yes. So if you have all of that in your stomach and it's never breaking down, you're gonna constantly have this feeling of full, right? When that happens in an alligator, they stop eating because they think they're full. And so they will not starve themselves, but get really, really sick to the point that they're thinking they don't need to eat because their stomach's constantly full. So that's a problem. What was the other part of your question?
How easily are they available to pass all of that stuff?
Okay, so these guys were from the 1990s, and I flushed these guys in 2019. So I don't think that these two alligators had been around that long. I think these tags were in the big guy's stomach for that long. So things like metal and things like plastic, they don't really break it down. They can break down turtle shell and bone, but it's our anthropogenic waste that's really hurting them, right? Yes, ma'am.
I guess this would be limited by the size of your tubing, but during the flushing process, were you able to remove any of the non-organic material, or was that only from necropsy?
From what I remember, it was only from necropsy. And that was what the biggest bias was that whenever they're so full of that, we try to get what we can out, and it's just so compacted that we don't get anything. We get 1% out.
So basically, there's no way to assist the alligator removing that from their system without killing them.
You could do surgery on them. They're really hardy and like really resilient. So if I like cut one open and gave it some local anesthetic and took it out, you could do that. Yeah, but I don't know how cost effective that is for about 2 months.
But I was just curious.
Yes.
And then it would eat another ball of twine.
What neck thing?
How
They're
the big guys get really big necks? Why is that?
that's for the ladies. Yeah, that's for the ladies. They like their dudes with larger chins. Yes. Yes.
Because the bigger they are, the better hunter they are.
That's right. And usually bigger males keep the territory.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
No.
Question?
So why do they use metal and art are there living things in cages and they're going after?
So, like, the metal tags that I had, those were in between the alligator's fingers, the little alligator fingers, right? So it's like a bycatch. The twine and stuff comes from crab fishermen. So the crab fishermen, they drop chicken legs and whole chickens down there, and then they'll pull it up with crabs on it. That's how they fish. But sometimes alligators get habituated to it and they just come by and take crab lines. They're really good at it. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
What are the public policy or environmental policy implications from what you've discovered?
One of the big ones was that how much trash they actually consume. And for it being a wildlife refuge, and they have that much on them, that's quite a bit of trash, even in what we think is our pristine places, right? Also, before, no one had really thought about putting together the parasites and their ontogeny level. So are they juvenile, are they subadult, and what does their parasite fauna book look like, right? So there was lots of new stuff that kind of came out of this, and one of my colleagues that's still at Tech, she's working on heavy metal disease in the liver off of my samples, so that's cool too. Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you, guys. Oh, yes, Ken. What?
What's the percentage, if you know, of the problematic parasites that they carry from ecosystem to ecosystem?
Okay, so if the parasites are being carried from ecosystem to ecosystem, they are either in the end host, like the alligator, or they're in bird droppings or things that can move from thing to thing, right? As far as it being really detrimental to them, alligators and especially crocodilians in general are extremely resilient. So they could lose a leg in the wild and it's just like, no big deal. Or it's just, they're riddled with parasites and their body condition is perfect. And so you can't really just look at an alligator and say, oh, he has parasites, because they hide it really well. Same with the heavy metal stuff, they hide that. They don't ever really get sick from it. They hide it in their tail or they'll shed it in their eggs. They'll put it in the eggshell. Yes.
So I found it interesting that the subadults actually had all of the different parasites we sampled, but the adults were missing one.
That's a great observation.
Yes, and so was that something in the habitat from when they moved from subadult to the adult pond that was inhospitable to that parasite? How did they lose that?
So it's maybe not that they lost the parasite, they could lose the parasite. They could just, poop it out and move on with life.
Right.
Because it's an intestinal parasite. But what I think really is that the subadults are trying to grow really fast, and so they're not selective. They're just like, crab, gimme, bird, gimme, like they're just shoving it in, right? And the bigger guys, they're like, okay, if I move, it's gonna take a lot of energy. So I'm gonna go after that turtle, or I'm gonna sit and wait on the bank, and I'm gonna be really, really specific about what I choose to eat. The other guys are just mowing down. I thought it'd be the opposite.
Yeah.
I did.
Assume there would be a growth over time through.
And most publications say that the larger alligators should have the most robust diets, but parasitic wise, it's the other guys.
So the subadults are the teenage boys.
Yeah. Because they're the ones that haven't gotten to mate yet. They don't have girlfriends. They don't have any territory. They have nothing, right? So they really are just trying to find their place and just eat. Yes, ma'am.
So did you keep track of what they were eating too?
In a broad sense, yes. Yes, a lot of birds, a lot of snails for the little guys, but birds, snakes was a big one. That crab, the blue crabs were probably the most common. Yep.
And they just swallow it whole, so it's easier to
Yeah, they kind of crush it with their top of their mouth. So if you look at an alligator, you can see it on the skull. They have a very flat top mouth and it's very hard. So they just kind of like crush things in it. Yeah. Yes.
Looked at the parasitic load in the stomach along with all of that junk that was in there. And when you did your necropsies outside, did you go into the intestines to see what the parasitic load was in the intestines?
When we did the necropsy, we took the duodenum, which is up here, the top of the stomach, and we took I'm forgetting the name, I don't know, the bottom, the outlet of the stomach. We tied it off with rubber bands and we cut it. So we left everything intact except for the stomach. So I didn't take any of the intestines out. I did one and I learned my lesson with it because I had to pick through the entire thing and there were parasites in it, but they were the same guys that were in the stomach. And so I said, I can get a good snapshot of what the parasites are just by looking at the stomach. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Have you encountered any alternative to plastic fishing or crabbing lines?
I'm looking at my fisherman.
Yeah.
No.
Hemp,
No.
I know hemp can be used for so many things. Are
Yeah, hemp
are they
maybe.
working because hemp is biodegradable?
Yeah. Yeah, that might work.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have been on a crusade at our place to find non-lead bullets for hunting pigs. Because if you leave even the littlest, tiniest bit of lead in a pig that an eagle eats or a bird eats, it's gonna kill the bird because they can't handle any lead. So that's our big crusade right now at the homestead, trying to find non-lead ammunition. Yeah. Any other questions? Sorry for the tangent. Thank you guys so much. This was so fun. I have the stuff. I have teeth. I have the scoots, the osteoderms. So this is what's on their back, and that's what makes them very bony. This is actually a bone that they're just plated with, right? And then I have some parasite samples. If you wanted to, I keep them at my house, so if you want
Melissa.
On chapter meeting, report live on 18th.
Point 5 for chapter meetings, that goes under CD, chapter meeting, in DNS. And the AT is 1. And it's organized time. Brian, did you get?
Oh, I got it. I got it.
You got them?
And he's lucky.
Okay, you make me a okay. I was gonna have you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, are we ready? In honor of the talk tonight, we have Hurricane Texas as one of our door prizes. Yeah. I really didn't mean to put that. The number is 508 7 0 0.
Bingo!
Yes! I've always wanted this book, Carolyn.
Oh, well, I'm so glad. I thought you already had it. Oh, my God. She was so right about him being lucky, right?
Every time, without a doubt.
Here we go. One more. All right. 508 6 4 9. Oh, there we go, Gerald. Awesome, Gerald. These were donated by Jennifer Seal and then by the magic of cricket.
I wanted the book.
Next time, because I have another copy of that book. You'll be seeing it back around. Okay, there are things on the back table for y'all to take home. First come, first serve. Books, other types of plants and things back there. So take a look at that before you go. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, Bobby?
Well, if any intern didn't put their badge on this year.
Yes, and
The stick, the trees that are sticks.
Sticks?
Those are willow oaks.
willow oaks.
And then the kinds are longleaf pines.
Longleaf pines are great for making crafts, the long needle pines, but they take a long time to grow.
And you need the right soil.
And you need the right soil. You can find it in Florida. It's not. It's not. It's in Florida. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.